All right, what's going on, everybody? Um, I wanted to do a little walkthrough on how I prepare for the trading week every weekend. Um, Saturday, I typically do my weekly review, and then Sunday is when I'm marking my charts up and what I'm looking for coming into the next week. So that's what I'm going to do here now, and I wanted to do it live just to show people um, some things that they could possibly implement into their own weekly review. So, really, what I start by doing is going to the higher time frames and just marking out all of my key levels. The markets I'm going to be working with today are the indices, the currencies, 6E and 6B, which is just euro and pound, the dollar, and then we're going to look at gold, and then just going to quickly mark up the bonds. So starting with Nasdaq, I start from the higher time frame levels. I want to look at the monthly chart because we just started a new month, right? And we just took out previous month's high already, and we're kind of seeing some rejection there. I know there's a lot of mess here, but yeah, we're not. We already traded through a monthly high, and there's no other monthly highs or lows anywhere in sight, so don't really have much to do there. But so we'll start out on the weekly time frame. And really what I'm doing is just marking out the previous week high and the previous week low. And I'm going to do this with every single one of the markets because those higher time frame highs and lows are really where a lot of trades can form. And also as we go out like throughout the week, I might mark out like the midpoint of this wick if we're trading near it, or the midpoint of this wick if we're trading near it. I also want to take into account that this is a weekly BISI down here that we might end up trading into if we do end up getting like a sell-off at some point. But I'm not going to mark any of that out right now because it is just really far away. Just things that are relatively close is what I'm more concerned about right now. And then you kind of just start working down from the weekly to the daily time frame. Then you kind of just want to see where things start to align with each other. Now on Friday, what we ended up doing was sweeping previous day high and then coming down into this daily fair value gap. So I'm going to get these off the screen right here. Okay. Now this was on a Friday, and I actually alerted this to the Discord on looking for shorts coming into Friday because one, we had a completely bullish week. So if you look, this is Monday, and we were only going up. And on Friday, we were trading at all-time highs, and this at one point was a fully enclosed green up close candle. Okay, and we took out previous day high, and there was a lot of sell side on the lower time frames down here, and this previous day low was also in line with this daily BISI, and then there were also equal lows on the lower time frame there as well. So there was a ton of things aligning right there. Now that that day's over, I'm going into Monday. I'm always marking out my previous day high and my previous day low. And so we just made this low inside of this daily BISI right here. I don't have it all the way marked out because this candle right here is balancing this range, and the only thing that was left open is the distance between this low and this high right here. So I have that marked, but I also want to know the quadrants of this daily fair value gap right here, so I am going to mark it like that. But you'll see that this was the real fair value gap, and we closed right inside of that on Friday. Then we have a volume imbalance down there that I'll pay attention to as well if we get down to it. But really, again, what I'm just mainly focusing on is those daily highs and lows, weekly highs and lows, and fair value gaps. So you could see on Friday there was a really nice sell-off here, sweeping that previous day high and then getting that market structure shift. This was your hourly fair value gap. This is what I had marked to the Discord to as an area to look for sells from. And then this was your previous day low, and you can see that these are perfect equal lows right here that were resting above this daily fair value gap. So a really nice place to look for shorts and a draw on liquidity for, and just a really big dump on Friday. So you had weekly profiles align right there with technical analysis and like a classic TGIF setup there. So that was nice. And I got all of my levels marked here now. I like to go in with a completely clean chart besides all of my levels, so I'm not marking out like a bunch of hourly fair value gaps or anything like that. I am looking at this right here because I think this is going to be the line in the sand for long or short. Because all we have right now, right, is this previous day low inside of the daily fair value gap, and if we start to, you know, go through here and start to get closures below the daily fair value gap, I think we could see something like this. This is open right here. I think this should be revisited if we are to go lower, and then you have your previous week low below that, and then these are all relatively equal here. So that is in the case of a sell-off, which I'm not going to try and really predict right now. It all depends what we do on Monday and Tuesday, and that kind of makes me remember that I forgot to bring up the weekly news here, so I'm going to do that real quick. I'm always looking first thing going into the week at the news, just to kind of make out like a daily or weekly profile in my head on what to expect because we have nothing on Monday and Tuesday. If you see tentative next to these, this isn't normal. The only reason it's like this is because we have obviously the government shutdown going on in the United States, and so a lot of the data is not coming in for these news releases, like on NFP on Friday. You probably noticed that there wasn't any kind of massive move like there usually is, and that's because NFP data wasn't actually reported. And so it's like that with your other news events as well. So anything that has tentative next to it, there's no news for that. It's really just nothing. Anything that actually has a time next to it is news that's actually dropping. So since Monday and Tuesday has no news, and Friday was kind of a large range day, and we're at a key area right here, I'm kind of expecting that the earlier part of the week is likely going to be spent accumulating. So it's going to be figuring out, like what the weekly range is going to look like and just kind of gathering data there. And that doesn't mean that you can't take trades on Monday. It's really just if you're looking to trade and you do see a setup, for me, I'm going to go in with probably lower leverage and aiming for the lower hanging fruit targets. I'm not expecting to, trade a huge move on Monday because of the reasons that I just said. Um, that usually comes later in the week when the weekly profile and order flow is more pronounced and a little bit easier to read. But again, we're in an area where we could see higher prices inside that daily fair value gap. I think it all depends on if we use this as support or resistance. I think um, this is really the scenario right here. I'm not set on anything with Nasdaq right now, especially going into Monday and Tuesday with no news. Um, and then we could see that continuation here. And then I'm looking at this 1 hour fair value gap right here, which is also in line with this breaker. So I think that could be meaningful right there. But that's really all I'm doing for um, my markups going into the week. It's just those higher time frame key levels, right? Those are really areas where I use to determine order flow. Is just the higher time frame fair value gaps and the weekly highs and lows and daily highs and lows. Um, so yeah, kind of in a really big area here right now. I'm also looking at this wick right here. We just hit the upper quadrant of that, and then we also have the midpoint right here, which is probably in alignment with that hourly fair value gap. Yeah, right here. So I think that if we do reach down here and we're still bullish, you would anticipate all of this to be just a higher time frame, like a large wick. And yeah, just anticipate that to be manipulation. But this is just an important area that we're in right now, and it's going to determine where we could end up going into next week if we're going to continue to see longs, because I don't want to try and pick a top in all-time highs. And it's always difficult whenever you do look bearish and you're trading at all-time highs, because you really want the market to prove itself that it actually is going to go lower instead of, try and fight the trend. Well, let's head over to ES now and kind of start to compare things. Just doing the very same thing. I start out on my weekly, get all these out of the way, and just marking out the weekly highs and lows. And then obviously this weekly open will get moved whenever the market does open at 6 p.m. So we'll probably open up around here somewhere, and I'll just drag that over to where the weekly open is. And that's a really important area because it kind of helps you to determine like weekly PO3. Going down to the daily time frame. So we have, okay, yeah. This will be your previous day low right here. And the most important lows to me or most important highs and lows are the last 3 days. So your last 3 days highs and lows are really good for um, like knowing where liquidity is resting. And if you're trading shorter time frame, like even if you're swinging or day trading or scalping, knowing where the last three highs and lows of the days are, it can really grant you some good setups there. So I like this one obviously because that's your previous day low. That's to me the most important one. But then we also got this guy right here. This is Thursday low, and then your Wednesday low is all the way down here, and it's your previous week low. So I don't need to mark that out or anything like that. You notice that there is no fair value gap on here on ES when there was on NASDAQ. So that could kind of be telling of um, if we are going to see that move lower here. NASDAQ or ES has a lot less resistance, or excuse me, support that it can run into compared to NQ. So NQ's got some things to get through here. ES is kind of open for the taking. You got this daily volume imbalance right there. Then going down to the hourly. Hourly is really the lowest I'll go because I just want to, again, I'm not marking out anything on the hourly just yet. I do that the morning of my trading. Um, I just want to see how the hourly time frame is working in relation to those higher time frame levels. Because you can see right here below Thursday low, we have a open fair value gap right there and one right here. So I'll actually leave this one over to the side right there. And we do have SMT right here as well. So that could be kind of telling. I'm not going to mark that out, but just want to keep it in mind that it does look like we have like a change in the state of delivery. Breaker, order block, SIBI. Market structure shift, SIBI. So some things to note right there. Again, just kind of getting an idea of what to expect. And, when you have targets like these that are resting above fair value gaps, it makes me think that there is a higher likelihood of seeing a draw lower. Because this looks really good to me on NASDAQ. I am going to mark that. because it is resting below previous day low. Okay. All right. So that is your NQ and ES. Let's head on over to the currencies here. Currencies have been extremely ugly. Like, how many weeks is that now of just back and forth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 3 months of just absolutely sideways going nowhere price action is actually pretty unbelievable. Um, and it happened after we took some major liquidity up here. We took July high and this weekly swing high right there. So I am. Let me clean this up here because this is really. I'm just gonna get rid of all this. I am going to mark the previous month's high and low on this market because one, it's still intact, and two, it's in closer proximity. In closer proximity to where we're trading at currently. So previous month low is right there. And then that's your previous month high. So it's just always good to have these and leave these on your chart because the closer we trade to them, the more likely um, it is that we see price actually move there. And even if we are like all the way down here, right, you might think, okay, well, previous month low is right there, like I can't take a short. Well, that's actually a good amount of distance, like on a lower time frame for maybe a scalp if time and price align, like at that moment. So it's just if you know that level is there, it's a super obvious draw on liquidity that you can use. I'm gonna get rid of these, get rid of that. Previous week high, previous week low, that should get moved to right here. And then after these get taken, I know that this previous week high and low are next in line because there's no other high or low on the weekly time frame that's relevant or not taken. So once one of these gets taken, that's when I'll mark this previous week high and low. It's just I don't want to have too many lines on my chart right now. Get rid of that. So now once we go down to this time frame, we see that previous month low has like relative equal lows. So there's a bunch of sell side stacked up right here. But it's also tough because dollar looks bullish, but it really should be bearish based on like macro news. So that's why I think this market and currencies have been really tough is because dollar has it's kind of been going sideways and consolidating when it really should be dumping. So that's causing these markets to kind of go sideways. Bonds are going up while currencies look like they want to go down. Like this is structured to the downside for euro, and pound has it too. And this has it too. The dollar does. So, but there's really nice targets up here. This has just been going sideways forever. But again, politically and economically, the dollar should be going down. So I would want to see currencies go up, but with structure, it looks like they want to go down. So I would really need to see this inverse right here. But we have all these sell side targets. So it's just that I think that's why it's really been going back and forth is because it's just not able to make up its mind on what it wants to do here. Okay, so that is euro. Same thing on the pound. We have previous week high. Actually, let's go up to the month again. Okay, so now we can go here, look at our previous week high and low. Let's see. So previous week low is also the previous month low. Or no, 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 this is the previous week low, so that's okay. All right, so yeah, again, just trading inside of this range. Not really interested in currencies right now, but I still do the this markup every week just because I think it's necessary. Because if things do end up looking nice, then you already have all your levels marked, so you don't got to worry about it. But again, it's a very simple process and very effective too because it just helps you get a better gauge on where the market is actually heading towards. And once you see levels start to align on different time frames, that's when you know that you probably have um, a good sense on where we're heading, and then you can leverage more into trades. So that's kind of really the difference between being a break-even trader and someone who's profitable, in my opinion, is you're able to leverage more into your trades when you know that you're probably right about the direction. Versus whenever something looked like when I was just explaining about on Euro, where it looks like it could go either way, and intermarket analysis isn't really agreeing. Well, I know it's to stay away from those markets and not even put risk on. Where some people are probably trying to chase like a 1 minute fair value gap on Euro when it's like we don't even know what the daily time frame's doing, so it doesn't make sense. Okay. Previous week low has relative equal lows right there, which is interesting. But then we also inverse this, and we have relative equal highs right here and right here. So again, just back and forth. Low probability because we're trading in the middle of relative equal highs and lows. And whenever you have a situation like that, it's a coin flip, it's low probability, and I want to stay away. I like to see markets where the damage has been done to one side and equal highs or lows have been left on the other side of the market. That's when it's super obvious. All right, so dollar here. Move that down there just for when it's ready. Relative equal highs on the weekly right here. Personally, what I think on the dollar is we hold this SIBI and then we inverse this one right here. So that's what I'm looking for on euro or on dollar. Previous day high, previous day low. Get those marked out. See, the thing about dollar is it looks like the damage has been done to the upside already, and it looks like we want to head lower. Like we had these relative equal highs inside the daily SIBI, swept those. Bodies held the midpoint, which is pretty telling on weakness. The wick did the damage above these into this 1 hour fair value fair value gap as well. And that's why we were able to trade above the midpoint. Typically what you like to see is us not even be able to reach this area right here, but this allowed us to, and the bodies were still able to kind of show weakness here. So we began to break down, swept these highs into this order block and into this fair value gap right here, broke down, market structure shift, fair value gap right here. So ideally this holds. This is your order block right here. Look how the midpoint is getting respected right there. So yeah, ideally this holds. We don't inverse this and we see this continuation lower towards these relative equal lows down here. So bearish definitely looks good on dollar. I want to see that start to hold on euro and pound. I want to see us begin to go higher because we have all these relative equal highs right here. So see how you can kind of start to piece things together whenever you actually begin, moving between all of these markets. Accumulation, all these relative equal lows, manipulation, did the damage there, went right perfectly to this hourly fair value gap. And now we want to see distribution higher. So ideally, we don't even want to see previous week low hit on euro if we're going to be bullish. But then you look at the higher time frame and it's like, oh, well. But if we are going to start to establish a trend on currencies, I think it should start this upcoming week. And if it doesn't, then yeah, currencies are just cooked right now. All right, and then bonds kind of just give me that confirmation on currencies because bonds should be moving in the same direction as euro and pounds. That is what a good market looks like and when intermarket relationships are um, aligned. So this moves inversely with dollar, or it should be. And if it's not, then you probably have a consolidating market. So yeah, they are moving in opposite directions, just very slowly. 6 p.m. hits is when I manually go and just mark out all my weekly opens. Previous day low. Previous day high is the weekly high right there. I don't even go to the hourly time frames on here. I stick to the higher time frames because I'm not looking for like lower time frame direction. I'm just looking at like long-term trends. So this just got inversed. This held. Yeah, pretty ugly market. That closed at the very low. A lot of relative equal highs up here, but there's really nothing besides. I mean, we have this inversion fair value gap right there, and right there. So we would need to see this act as an order block. This would need a hold right here. This market looks healthier than these. So yeah, want to see those hold. And gold. Yeah, gold's obviously bullish. Should not be looking at shorts here. Relative equal highs at the daily, and that's also previous week high, so that's something that I want to target and try and get positioned for. I want to see this hold because it already did its damage lower and went right to that previous day wick midpoint. And obviously, we should not see that big of a retracement if we're trading trading this close to equal highs right there. All right, so that's pretty much it. That's all I do whenever I'm going into the next week is just hold on one second. Is I'm just marking out all these levels and just determining order flow. And if I can't find a market or one of these markets just looks like it has no direction or no idea where it wants to go, or I can't determine that, where it wants to go, then I'm just going to stay away from it. Like gold, I know where it wants to go. NQ, I need to wait a little bit. Currencies, feels like it could go either way, but I favor that they go higher. I just need to see price start to support that. I favor lower on NASDAQ and ES, but I don't want to try and pick a top. So I would like to see us kind of hang around here on Monday and, because of the no news, and then Tuesday could probably give us like a situation where we get that Tuesday high of the week if it's going to be a classic bearish week, and then see that continuation lower. I could also see something like where since we're trading at all-time highs and it's just like a big FU to shorts, kind of hangs around here, then Tuesday makes the low of the week, and then we get that continuation higher. So just looking for Monday to give me a better idea on where price wants to go. I'm looking to primarily just scalp on Monday. If I do end up seeing a trade, like I'm not gonna go in and force anything. If my model's there, then I'll trade it. But I'm not looking to try and hit a home run and target like the previous week high or previous week low. So that's just my thoughts going into the next week, and that's how I build my buys. Using the economic calendar um, and the analysis there too. So if you have any questions, just feel free to like comment something, or if you want to join the Discord if you're not in it already, the link is in the description there. So that'll be it. Appreciate you guys watching, and see you in the next one.